I'm going to begin, guys. I'll start with you, EJ. I mean, this is fantastically sort of subdued, quite character-driven piece. Was that part of the appeal, getting involved in a show like this? It didn't feel like your kind of archetypal kind of cop thriller detective drama thing. It had something quite understated about it, which I loved.
Oh, I already love you. Yeah, I mean, I like to think of myself as a character actor, and the goal is to have as many wheels moving underneath the surface as possible, as long as you're not adding fiction to fiction. The goal is to ideally to create a real person. And a big part of that for me is to make sure that he cares. One of the things I keep saying about Agent Raymond Waters is that he's not afraid to be quiet, and he's aware of how that might make him look at times. But I think that it's one of the most attractive qualities, is someone who's not afraid to look like a fool and let you think what he thinks. That idea of like not being afraid to be quiet also means that so you watched a few of the episodes, yeah? There's a scene between him and Agent Harper where Agent Harper looks at him and he's like, you know, I used to do the same thing when I was your age. Like when I was an agent, I'd ask questions to hear the answers. I'd ask questions to see how that would affect you. And sometimes I just ask questions to watch the billiard balls bounce around your head. And I think that like in that moment, they're very similar in who they are. And I love that. I love a character who can just listen. And I think a good agent, and something that I think is important when you're playing someone who's a detective of some kind, is that when he's talking to you, it's not just about what he's saying. It's about all the little reactions. So I can watch your eyes, and I can watch how your hands move, and I can allow myself to be quiet to see all the ways you can respond, because all of it's important information for me. So yes, thank you. It was very intentional.
Yeah. And Gbenga, I was going to ask about, I mean, obviously when you do a show like this, which is based on a book, I just wondered if, because I interviewed sort of lots of actors, and everyone, some people find that it's like a Bible to them. They can read this book, they can learn about their character, learn about the world, but some find it distracting. It sort of gives them an alternative perspective, different from the script. They can find a bit sort of like, can be a bit of a kind of conflict in some ways. I wondered about your sort of process, not just on this project, but just generally. Do you find books quite helpful? And did you bother to read the book for this? Did you think it would be quite helpful on this occasion?
I usually find source material helpful, but not always. So sometimes I won't touch it. This being one of those times, I wanted to just like create and go dig in the script. And I figured if I needed to find things that weren't there, there were such great writers and producers on this that I'd be able to create it with them and brainstorm with them. I wanted to read the book after making the show. That's not always how I go about it, but it struck me to be the path for this one.
And EJ, I was wondering too, when you sort of play detectives, play agents and stuff like that, did you find that you use real life as inspiration for characters like that? Or have they become so ingrained into the fabric of like cinematic storytelling that you almost use other fictional roles to help craft and enrich that performance?
Oh, I love you. You're fantastic. No, these are fantastic questions. Seriously, they're the questions that I think actors get giddy to answer because we feel seen. So thank you. I think that using fictional characters, they say if you're going to steal from the best. But I do think that it's potentially a dangerous road at times, because you don't want to play the archetype of a character that was really based off an archetype of a character that they saw in the 50s. You know, like I like to say that television is always like 20 years outdated, because sometimes you have an amazing show like this that's written with real people involved to get to the grit of what this situation's really like. And then other times you get the TV show that's based off of the cop show that writer saw, 20 years ago. So ideally I use real people, and I've been really blessed to meet and work with and be trained by, I said this before in another interview, but by the men who walk towards the fire. Like I've done other projects that involve people in the military, and I've been trained by Army Rangers for those projects. And you realize that there are those who run away when chaos happens, and then there are those who run towards it. And I think it's my duty to honor those men and women and make a character as grounded and real and honest to them as possible. So for Raymond Waters, I worked with one of our liaisons, named Christopher, was in the CIA for over 11 years overseas, and this is a man who's actually a spy, and I learned that a lot of these men and women that go and do these types of jobs are what you would call a true believer. And that's someone who doesn't just have like the American flag tattooed on his back, but believes in the foundation of what the country is supposed to be based on, and freedom, and then understands in a very personal way the things that are required of many men and women to keep that freedom, which is not always what we talk about. So absolutely, I tried my best to base it off of real people. I tried to make Raymond a true believer. And so though many people might think he's like just a nosy mother effer, he cares.
Yeah, Gbenga, I was going to ask, Gbenga, I was going to ask you about, I mean, you talk about, EJ talking about learning from the best. I mean, on a show like this, when you've got people like sort of Jeff Bridges at the center of it, how is it to collaborate with people of that kind of standing in the industry, who have been so experienced, have been in some of the great kind of shows and movies of all time? And when you're working with people like that, do you ever get a bit starstruck? And is that okay to be a little bit starstruck, or does that subside over time? Because in some ways it might be quite good to maintain that little element of thrill when you work with, when you go head to head with the best.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best actors alive are in this show, and that period. That's it. And we get to play with them and learn from them. And I'm still starstruck. I'm listening to your question and my face is like, what? Of course. Yes. Absolutely. I'm very much we had the opening last night and I'm like starstruck. We did TCAs and I'm like, these guys are saying my name. Yeah, absolutely. And like Amy Brenneman, I'm like, it's all very ridiculous to me, to be honest. It's all very, very ridiculous.
EJ, I was going to come to you next. With any series, I think as an audience member, I'm thinking about a potential second season. So I'm just wondering, as actors, do you think about that when you sign up to a project? Do you ever consider seeing it as something that could be a potentially long-term commitment? And when you're playing your character, do you think about where they could go in years to come? Or is it wiser just to treat it about what's happening in this one season and just see what happens after that?
I think it's okay to dream. I believe in magic and love, and I can fly, man. And it's one of the only reasons that I'm getting to chat with you right now. So dreaming is fun, but we all understand you never know what's going to happen. So ideally, yeah, it'd be amazing to know what happens 4 years down the road. It might even help you create an arc to your character that, could be even more textured. But most of the time you kind of take it with what you have in front of you. And especially if the writers don't know what happens tomorrow, you just do your best to hang on and go along for the ride,
And Gbenga, I was wondering if you're feeling this kind of this element of excitement that comes from this kind of current age of television. I mean, I've been doing this about sort of 10 years, and I'm traditionally would always do press junkets for movies. And now it's just this level playing field. There's just so much great TV, especially, of course, with the rise of kind of streaming sites. Does it feel like you're, as an actor, this is a great time to be working? Because I guess there's so much stuff being made, so much good stuff. With The Old Man, just another example of that. Does it feel like there's more out there than there's ever been?
Yeah, it absolutely does. There's more content being made, there's more good content being made, and there's more platforms to watch that content. So as an actor, as a content creator, it's a writer, yes, it's a golden age, as they say. A lot of the really great creatives who are in films have now crossed that barrier that there used to be as far as coming to television, and helped to raise the game. And then you had a handful of really great shows that inspired in the next generation of television writers and creators, and The Wire, that then pushed the level. And so it's a great time to be in TV. And if you've seen yeah, you've seen these episodes of The Old Man. It feels like a movie. Honestly, we watched the pilot last night, and it's still in me how the tension and how kind of messed up you feel. Like, it's not just a matter of watching the protagonist or the hero. Like, you kind of feel kind of twisted, and you're like, oh, this is going to get worse before it gets better. And that's because that's the first episode. So yes, the answer is yes.
I'm pleased you mentioned The Wire, because I was about to. So I literally just 10 minutes ago, before this interview, I just came off the Wire 20th anniversary press junket. So I just interviewed Wendell Pierce,
cool.
just before. And he was just saying that when he first got the script for the first episodes of The Wire, he couldn't believe how slow it was. Yeah. And he felt like he couldn't believe that. He was like, no one's going to like this show. It's too slow. It takes too long to build. But The Old Man feels a little bit like that. Do you think shows like The Old Man owe a lot to The Wire? Do you think they would exist? Even exist if it wasn't for The Wire?
Oh, it's there's like the Wire was brave television. I mean, people didn't want to make a show like that because they needed an audience. It requires a lot of the audience. It's funny, I was just talking to John Steinberg about this last night. The Old Man also requires a lot of the audience. You have to lean in, you have to do some work, you have to be okay with feeling uncomfortable, and The Wire was one of the first shows, if not the first show, to do that in the modern age, and it showed like, oh, we can make TV like this and find an audience. Whereas oftentimes buyers said there's no audience for that. This is too slow. We need them coming back after every commercial break and so on. And The Wire didn't tell stories like that. So absolutely, the Old Man, like there's inspiration of that type of slow. George Pelecanos, they call it slow burn, and like this show is very much slow burn. And then lo and behold, there's a huge international audience for that. They want to be challenged, and they want to feel as if they have some skin in the game when it comes to the content that they watch, and this is it.
Yeah, the best shows.
Sorry, Gbenga, when you don't spoon feed your audience, when you treat them like they are of intelligence, right? They get excited about that. There's something to play with too. They're a part of it. I love that.
Every episode of this, like The Old Man, they're going to be left working. Like, what did I just see? What happened? Who did what? She said that. Is this going to happen? They're going to be left with homework after every episode.
Yeah. The best shows are the ones that treat audience members like they're intellectual beings. Yeah, it's true. It's always the case. Anyway, I've got to go. But thank you so much for your time today, guys. I could have spoken for another hour.
You're fantastic, Stefan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the show. Hopefully there'll be another series we can speak again. Cool. All right, take care, guys.
Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey